Hello healers and health seekers, it's me Ichoda, healing with medical medium information for about 3 years now. If you want to know what I've been healing from, links are in the description box below, and you can read about it on my blog, and you can read about it, or you can watch my videos. Today I want to make a video about my bees. I used to be a beekeeper, and I want to make a video about my bee story, because as I was telling the story of all the symptoms and conditions that I've healed, there were a couple of times when I realized, oh my gosh, I could make like a whole video about this, and so I edited it out of that video and I'm going to put it here because I want to talk about my bees, I want to talk about my anaphylaxis to bees, and I want to talk about my healing from anaphylaxis to bees. So let's go. There's a blog post on my blog, spoiler alert, it's called "That Time I Got Stung by a Bee and Didn't Die." I used to be a beekeeper. When we lived in Canada, I kept bees there. That's where I learned how to keep bees. And I kept my bees on an organic blueberry farm. And so I had the most delicious, amazing blueberry flower honey from the bees. And when we moved to Oregon, I also kept bees. I kept my bees in my backyard, and that was the best ever because I got to see my bees every day. I got to be with them whenever I wanted to, no pun intended. I got to watch them. I didn't disturb the hives very often. I would just let them do their thing. And I did things like my husband and I planted a bee garden for them outside the hives, so it was pretty close. And while we were doing that, the bees were letting us know, here's what we learned. So when you're a beekeeper, you're gonna get stung by bees every now and again, accidentally. Like if you accidentally have one on your clothes and you crush it or something like that, you get like accidental stings, and those really don't hurt very much. And of course you're devastated because you don't want to hurt any bees. At least that's how I feel. I would hope most beekeepers feel that way because their bees are very important, but I know that there are commercial beekeepers who, just like factory farming, like they don't care and they don't take care of their bees in the same way. But the beekeepers I know, most beekeepers, backyard beekeepers, hobby beekeepers, and even some smaller level commercial beekeepers who sell at farmers markets and stuff like that, care for the bees in a very deep way, and it's a very spiritual experience taking care of bees because you have to be very zen, you have to be very chill, you have to wear light colors because if you wear dark colors the bees could think you're a bear and they are more likely to sting you. And you have to just keep your energy calm. You can't go at the hives with like adrenaline running or in an angry state or an agitated state of any kind because the bees will smell it on you and they will become defensive and sting. So you always just have to be like in that meditation state, in that calm state, in that zen state to work with hives and work with bees and be around bees. It's magical. It's really magical. So occasionally we would get stung, and I did notice as my health was kind of going down and we still had the bees, each year I would get stung. When I would get stung, the welts would get bigger and bigger. And when we planted the bee garden, the bees got agitated because we took too long. We were close to the hive for too long. They'd give us about 15-20 minutes before they'd be like, okay, that's it. And they don't just go at you. They let you know, we're coming. You need to move. You need to get out of here. And they buzz your ear. And it's actually a different kind of buzz than the just gentle humming buzz of the bee. It's like it is a warning buzz, and you know, like there's something instinctive in your body that knows, oh, I'm being warned and I better get out of here, because it's scary. It actually makes your adrenaline go up just to hear the buzz when they buzz your ear. They go buzz right by your ear, and it's like, get the hell out of here right now, buddy. And they did give us a warning buzz, but we're like, wait, we're just gonna finish this up real quick, and no, they were like, no, we told you. And for me, like I got stung on my arm. I got like this, and I had like a 6-inch welt. And that's the thing is when they sting you on purpose, so when they sting you accidentally, there's not really any control about how much venom goes into your body. And because it's not intentional, they're not like shooting all the venom at you. But when it's intentional, they can really unload a great deal of venom into your body. And it's almost surprising how much venom this tiny little bee can put into this whole big body. And anyway, so I did notice, like, one of the last times while we still had the bees, you know, before we sold our house and sold the hives, while we still had the bees, one of the last times I got stung, I had like these big kind of 6-inch red welts, and I didn't feel good. I kind of felt like icky afterwards. And that was while I was still capable of taking care of bees. When my health really tanked, I couldn't take care of the bees anymore, and we were selling our house anyway, so we sold our hives. That was a very sad moment for me because I love my bees so much, and I had these beautifully painted hives that my husband had handcrafted and handmade. They were wari hives. They were made for the bees and not the beekeeper. They were cedar. They were beautiful. And I had painted them myself. Anyway, fast forward to, I am on the path of getting all of my diagnoses for my symptoms and conditions. I'm discovering that I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and dysautonomia POTS and mast cell activation disorder. And when I see my allergist for mast cell activation disorder and she finds out I'm a beekeeper, she flips out. I mean, not flips out, but you know, she's like, what? That is you cannot keep bees. She's like, we tested you and you have anaphylaxis to bees. You could die if you get stung. And I'm like, no. I love bees. But we'd already sold the hives, or I think we were selling the hives at that point, and you know, we knew we were selling our house, and so it was kind of easier for me to be like, okay, that's fine, I won't be around bees anymore. Although, I mean, of course I would still be around bees because we still had all the bumbles in our yard, but they don't really sting. And then, I mean, they can, but they don't. They just don't. And honeybees, honestly, unless they're threatened, they don't sting either. And we still had all these honeybees from wild hives around because we had Virginia creeper growing on the trellis and in our front yard. And they love that Virginia creeper because that stuff dropped pollen like rain. I mean, they loved it. And so they would just be all over the trellis thing. And they would just, you could walk under it and it sounded like you were inside of a hive. It was, oh my gosh, I loved it so much. I think in the future I will put Virginia creeper on the property just because the bees love it so much, and I like to stand under it and hear the inside of it like a hive. I wonder if they would like wisteria just as much, because I love wisteria. Anyway, so she told me that the test said that I was anaphylactic to bees, and it made sense to me a little bit because of the fact that my reactions to the stings had been getting stronger and stronger, and that, but also I know that they can control the amount of venom. So when they sting you on purpose, like, it could have just been that they were like, look, we told you and you didn't move, so sorry, but you got to go. Because remember, honeybees die when they sting you. So it's not really worth it to them just to sting you for no reason. Like, they have to have a reason. It has to be like there's a threat to their queen and their brood in their perception in order for them to be like, you know. And they had told us, that was on us. So my husband also got stung. That's why I'm saying us. And he also had bigger welts and stuff. But I think it's because they were injecting the venom in on purpose instead of on accident. Anyway, so I had been told I had anaphylaxis to bees. I had an EpiPen. I also had anaphylaxis to other things, but bees was one of the things. And I had an EpiPen that I carried with me all the time. I took it out of the house every time I left the house in case I would have anaphylaxis, because my chemical reactions would cause anaphylaxis sometimes. So reactions to perfumes and things like that could possibly cause anaphylaxis. Oh, what fun it is to have all of these chronic illnesses. It's not. So fast forward to, we have sold the house, we're in the RV, we're traveling, we're in California, and we're going to the beach every night to watch the sunset. And where we were in this particular RV park was 5 minutes from the beach walking. So we would leave the RV every night at sunset. We would go walk to the beach. We would watch the sunset. We would watch the water. My son and husband would throw rocks in the ocean, and it was just a delightful experience. So this particular night we went to the beach, and it had been a long time since I had had like such strong reactions to my environment. So I had left the EpiPen in the RV, and I was like, I'm not going to take it. Off we go to the beach. And here's an interesting little fact about bees is in California, and possibly also I should say on the West Coast, and possibly also the East Coast. I don't know, this could possibly happen everywhere that there are ocean beaches. Bees will go to the beach to die. Bees have a very short life cycle, and they know when it's up, and so they'll go to the beach to die. And that I found fascinating to learn. I learned about that after this incident. So I'm standing, walking through the sand with my shoes off, as I did all the time, unaware that there could possibly be bees on the sand, aware that there could be jellyfish, so looking for bigger things, not so much for smaller things. And I felt this little sort of soft thing under my foot, and I was trying to sort of move it off of my foot, and I seemed to not be successful. I don't know, it was kind of just stuck to my foot. And suddenly I was aware that I had been stung. And I looked down and I pulled the stinger out, and it's a bee stinger. And how do I know that? Because I kept bees. I know what bee stingers look like. They have a distinctive look if you know what they look like. And then also it had the bee goo on the other end of it that the bee had died when it stung me. It was basically like, if I'm dying, I'm taking you out with me. And remembering I had been diagnosed with anaphylaxis to bees, I thought, oh my gosh, what do I do? We're only a 5-minute walk from the RV where the EpiPen is, and if my husband runs, he could probably get it quickly, but he was a bit far away from me at the time. And my brain just kind of went into sit down. I sat down on a rock, and I just started praying to the angels. And then my husband, I guess he noticed something had gone on, and he came up and he was like, what's going on? And I could barely. The pain started to become very excruciating, and I was praying to the angels to take the pain away, and I was praying to them to let me live. And I could barely speak through the pain. It was so excruciating. It was like the worst pain I think I've ever felt, possibly. So I'm just giving out to the angels, and my husband comes up, and I'm just like, no, please go away, because right now I just felt like I just needed to. I couldn't handle any more sensory stimulation. I couldn't hardly speak, and I was just like, go over there. And he was like, no, what's happened? And I said, I was stung by a bee. And he was like, oh my God. He's like, I gotta go get the EpiPen. And I was like, no, just go take our son to the water. Because I couldn't say anything else, and I knew that if I was gonna die, it was just gonna happen. Like, there wasn't gonna be time to get the EpiPen. At least that was my perception at the time. Okay, spoiler alert, I didn't die, right? Like, I didn't die, right? So what did happen though was I just, for about a half an hour with my husband, like very leery, being like, this is not okay. Like, I need to go do this, and me saying, just please take our son to the water. Like, I just needed to focus basically and kind of go into the pain, and I just prayed and prayed for a half an hour over and over again. I just rocked back and forth, just please take the pain away. Please help me heal. Please let me be okay. Please let me live. Praying to God, praying to the angels, just praying and praying. And it did take me out for a few days. It did. But like, I was okay. And I just I couldn't walk for a couple of days. Like, it hurt, and then my foot was throbbing, but I ate the healing foods, and I took more supplements, and I put treatments on it, like Sovereign Silver and probably baking soda paste or something. I don't even remember what I did, but I think I wrote it in the blog post, which will be linked below. It was such a profound experience as far as just, and I was still pretty early in my healing journey. Like, I think we got into the RV about 4 or 5 months into healing, and then we had only been on the road for a few months as well, maybe 2-3 months at that point. So it was pretty early, maybe 8 months into my healing journey, 8-9 months. And I knew I was healing, but it was just such a phenomenal experience. Like, oh, I got stung by a bee and I was okay. I think it sort of helped even build my faith in that this really works, and that I really was healing. And you want to talk about a victory check, that was definitely one of the early victory checks of, I got stung by a bee and I didn't die after being diagnosed with being anaphylactic to bees. Now, I had never had an anaphylactic reaction to bees, although probably the one with the big welts where I started to feel really poorly was probably the precursor to that. I don't know, but it blew my mind. So that was a pretty amazing experience. It was a pretty intense victory check, and it was definitely a point in my healing where I was just like, wow, that was kind of a miracle what just happened. The fact that I was okay, and it only took a few days to recover from that. It was pretty early in my healing journey, and I was just so grateful and just blown away by what had happened. So again, if you want to read about the account of that in the blog post, because that was more fresh, and I did not go back and read it before I did this video, so I might have missed some details and there might be some differences in what I'm remembering. It was just a profound enough experience that I wanted to talk about it, and I wanted to talk about keeping bees. So that was my victory check and my amazing story about not having anaphylaxis to bees, and I'm delighted to be able to tell it. Delighted to be here to be able to tell it. Thank you so much, my healers and health seekers, for coming along with me on my healing journey. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up below. You can subscribe to my channel if you haven't already by hitting that subscribe button over there. You can ding the bell next to it if you want to be notified when I post a new video. So many blessings on your continued healing journey. You know I love you. Stay curious, my healers and health seekers, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.